Hey, it's Greg. Today I want to talk about therapy. I want to answer the question, what is therapy or what is a therapist? Recently, I went to a workshop. It was for clinical supervisors. The trainer, the guy that did the workshop, was a guy named Wade Hunter. Wade's the vice president of operations for Creox Health Services. He has a lot of experience as a therapist and as a supervisor. So we talked about a lot of different things in the workshop. But one of the things we talked about was just that. What is therapy? And we talked about the difference between a counselor and a therapist. And that part of the discussion, it really just really struck something with me. It really challenged me. And so I wanted to share that with everyone. I thought it could be really beneficial for anyone that's engaged in the therapeutic process, whether as a therapist or as a client or as someone who does both. So, the American Psychological Association, or the APA, as it's commonly referred, the APA says that a counselor is a professional who helps people with specific problems in order to improve the way they feel or improve their behavior. So, a counselor, and this is a paraphrase, but this is the gist of it. A counselor helps people with their problems in order to improve the way they feel or improve their behavior. So, again, according to the APA, therapy is a collaborative effort between the professional and the client. And it really relies heavily on that relationship between the therapist and the client. And that's the part I really want to get into here. The way Wade put it was a counselor uses specific techniques to address specific problems. But therapy, he said, is art. And that really struck a chord with me. And the way he explained it, the analogy that he used really resonated with me, and you'll see why in a minute. So apparently Wade started playing the piano as a kid and has played the piano his whole life, and so he played all the way through school and into college. He said he played for a vocal group at one point. But he told this story. He said he was taking a class in college and he was learning how to write harmony parts, and he said in that process, like a light bulb went off, and he realized that he was doing something more than just playing the piano. He was actually learning to create music. And so he was more than just a piano player, he was becoming a musician. And the reason that really hit home with me is because I had a really similar experience. Just like Wade, I started playing the piano when I was a little kid. I've played music my whole life. When I got into middle school, I started playing the trumpet in the band, and I played the trumpet all the way through high school and in part of college. When I became a teenager, I started playing the guitar and have just continued to play, like I said, up until now. Actually, my first major in college was music, and when I was a music major, I took music theory classes. When I was taking those music theory classes, I started learning how to do more than just read music. Everybody, if you start out playing the piano or if you're in band or whatever, you learn how to read music. You learn the notes on the page and the different aspects of that. So you learn how to read what's on the page. But in those theory classes, I was starting to understand music and then learn how to create music. And just like Wade, I had this moment where I was like, oh, I'm a musician. I mean, you hear that term, but that's when I understood what it meant. The difference between someone who can play music and a musician. See, a musician can create, they can improvise, they can do more than just what's in front of them. See, a piano player, for instance, say the piano player has a gig somewhere playing for some event. So the piano player prepares some music based on what he thinks that event is going to be, how it's going to go, and everything. But say the piano player shows up and something's different. Say the mood is different, the vibe is different, the crowd is different. It's just not what he prepared for. He might be in trouble because what he's got is that music that he brought, the music on the page in front of him. A musician, though, a musician can survive in that circumstance. A musician can show up to the same event, see that the crowd is different, see that the mood is different, the vibe is different, the situation is different, and the musician can adapt. Maybe the musician plays the same music but plays it differently, improvises, or maybe he plays something different altogether. the point is, the musician can read the room, can read the people, and can adapt accordingly. As he's an artist, he can create. And in our analogy, the counselor is the piano player. The therapist is the musician. See, a counselor has tools that they carry around. They have these techniques that they've learned, and then the counselor says, okay, you have this problem, this technique or this method should help with this problem. The therapist has all the same tools, knows the same techniques, has the same education, all that stuff, but the therapist can show up and when the situation is different, when the mood is different, when something changes, the therapist can adapt. The therapist can roll with it. The therapist can improvise. The therapist is everything that the counselor is and more. And I'm not saying all this to discount techniques or to discount science or any of that. Scientific research has taught us a lot of crazy cool things about the brain, and that's been a big benefit to psychology and to mental health treatment. And a good therapist is gonna know that stuff, is gonna keep up with that, is gonna know how brain chemistry works and how it affects mood and different things. In grad school, you learn techniques, you learn methods, and then you continue your education even after grad school and you learn more. All that's important. You need all that. You need all those techniques. You need all that new information. So a good therapist has all that. They just have more than that. The therapist, again, we're going back to, it's that collaborative relationship between the client and the therapist. The therapist can interact. The therapist can roll with the situation. The therapist can take those techniques and switch them in and out as they need to. So that's what therapy is. Therapy is art, and the therapist is an artist. That's, like I said, that just really stuck out to me. I wanted to share that with other people. Maybe that interests you. Maybe you want to try that therapy thing out. It sounds cool. Maybe you've done it before, but now you're thinking like, I don't know, maybe I had more of a counselor and not so much a therapist. Maybe it would go better if I had a therapist. Whatever it is, if it interests you, you can look me up. If it doesn't interest you, that's fine too. I still hope this video was somehow beneficial. But if you're interested, like I said, you can look me up. My website is evolutionmhs.com. All my contact information is on there. Also social media, Evolution Mental Health Services on Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter at evolutionmhs. I'm putting these videos on YouTube. It's going to be evolutionmhs on YouTube. Whatever it is, if you're interested, look me up. Like I said, if you're not interested, I still hope this was beneficial. That's it. Have a great week.